Very good. Welcome to the Red Hook Town Board meeting of November 29th. Would you be kind enough to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Steve. For the folks at home, I placed on the screen the agenda for tonight's meeting so they can determine how long they would like to hang on with us for. Okay. Very good. We just have a couple of announcements for the folks at home. The first announcement I'd like to make is that we will be rescheduling our second town board meeting in December. That is normally scheduled for the fourth Wednesday. This year that would be December 27th. We are going to reschedule that to December 21st. So we will have two meetings in December, the 12th and the 21st. And you will see a notice to that effect on the town website. Another announcement is December 12th at Tivoli Hall, the Watts de Peyster Hall. 6 to 8 p.m. is a citizens emergency preparedness event. If you were fortunate enough to attend the one we held here at Red Hook Town Hall last year, it was very informative. You also get a bag of emergency goodies to help you should we need to deplore that type of strategies. So that is put on by Dutchess County Emergency Response Department, and that's December 12th, 6 to 8 p.m. in Tivoli Village Hall. There are lots of holiday events. I won't list them for you, but I'm sure Historic Red Hook would like me to let you know December 3rd is the Old Dutch Christmas at the Elmendorf Inn. Those are the announcements that I have. We have one announcement related to the snow ordinance. And we have our highway superintendent with us this evening. And Teresa, would you be kind enough to just let the folks know at home a reminder about what our policy is as far as parking? If you just
want me to do it as an announcement?
Yes, could you please?
Sure.
Because we know people hang on to the very beginning of the meeting. We hope.
Okay. So the Town of Red Hook Highway Department would like to remind residents of the town-wide snow ordinance in effect during the winter season. Town law prohibits parking on town roads from November 15th until April 1st between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Parking on the street at any time during a storm is an obstruction to snow removal and prevents employees from thoroughly removing the snow. Residents living along town roads should remove basketball hoops or any other roadside obstacles from the town-maintained right-of-way in preparation for winter snow plowing season. The Highway Department will not be responsible for damage to anything left in the right-of-way, including garbage cans and garbage. Please do not plow, shovel, or otherwise put snow into the streets. It's our job to keep the roads safe. We appreciate your cooperation in these matters, and we look forward to spring. And then on that note, I have an update on the new plow truck that's on order. And at this point in time, we do not expect the delivery of the vehicle until March. So
just in time for spring.
Pardon me?
Just in time for spring.
Well, we had a big storm this past March, so
That was the big storm.
maybe that's the only one we'll get. But you, the town board, may be asked by the residents to explain the possible reduction in the level of service if we have a severe winter. It's not possible for the Highway Department to make up for the loss of 3 trucks in 6 months. So there will be extended plow routes resulting in longer wait times and more snow remaining on the roads. Each of the 5 plow truck drivers will be adding 2 miles of unfamiliar road to their routes, which they normally know like the back of their hand. So it's going to take a little longer on those extra pieces. The potential for ice pack will be a little higher, and if we have drifting, we may have to close roads that would usually remain open. The main roads will be given the most attention in order to keep traffic moving. We have notified the school transportation office about potential delays, and we plan to pre-treat the road surfaces in order to stay ahead of the storms. As in any other year, the highway department prepares for the worst and hopes for the best. It will take patience, understanding, and more than a little luck to get through the winter season this year. But again, spring will come eventually. So,
Thank you very much.
any
Teresa.
questions?
Thank you, we appreciate that, and we appreciate everybody's patience at home during that period where we are down a truck. It is on order, so hopefully Mother Nature will help us out a little bit. And we want to remind you also the snow ordinance is in effect for Town Hall and the parking area, so there'll be no parking between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. During this time, November 15th through April 1st, and also no parking in Town Hall during snow events. This way the highway department can clear what is building up. Okay, thank you very much. We have a public hearing. I'm going to delay that for a few more minutes because we have a couple of public comments tonight, and I'd like those individuals to have an opportunity to make those comments first, and then we'll move right into the public hearing. So here is our public comment period. Would you like to make some comments?
Sure.
Okay, please come right on up. You can just tell us your name.
Sure.
You don't have to tell us where you live, but I think you will during the course of your comment.
Yeah, that's it. We will. We've also got a letter that we wanted to submit to the board because we thought that that would be a good idea.
Sure.
So, I can just hand you guys that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, my name is Bob Russell, and this is my wife Carrie, and we live over on Mill Road, right at the bend. And this past Friday night, we had a pretty bad traffic accident. Young lady with a car full of kids was doing about 60 miles an hour, as estimated by the sheriff department and the firefighters that responded. It's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, and there are 15-mile-an-hour zone warning signs on either side of the curve. Yes, sir.
Where's the bend in the road you're talking
On Mill Road.
about? Where?
Oh, so
Where it goes down the mill?
Yep, where it goes down the hill a little bit.
It makes a full 90-degree turn.
Okay, that's,
Okay.
I'm
You
sorry,
can
go
keep that.
ahead.
You can keep it.
Oh, go ahead, I just wanted to orient myself.
Yeah, you're good. So, the car was coming from Mill Road School up the hill, and didn't make the corner. Hit the telephone pole. Telephone pole went down, ripped the electrical service out of our house, and it cut power to the surrounding houses for a few hours. We were out for about 24 hours. It's not the power loss that brought us here, though. It's the safety concern we have with the speeding on that road. And this was just a pretty good example of what that can lead to. So, you know, we have some concerns about just traffic law enforcement on the road, and we're hoping that you folks might be able to help us with that. We also thought maybe a guardrail on the outside of the curve might help in that situation, because had it not been for that telephone pole, the car would have ended up in our living room. There's tire tracks headed from the road to the pole, and if you continue those past the pole, it ends up in our living room. And at 60 miles an hour, she certainly would have made it that far. So, you know, luckily no one was hurt in this instance. I actually have pictures on my camera. I'll spare those to you tonight. You don't have to look at those, but my kids and I were out taking pictures 2 hours earlier of the house because they wanted to send Christmas pictures of the Christmas decorations to Mom, who was shopping. And that if we were standing in that exact spot, I wouldn't be standing here tonight when that car came by. So, you know, it would have wiped out a family. And they're very lucky they weren't hurt inside the car. So we're asking for your help. We need something to happen because, you know, it's just, it's too frequent. We've lived here for 10 years, and in those 10 years, we personally have witnessed 4 traffic accidents, this one being the worst. We've had another one end up in the woods between our house and the Conway's property. We've had another car hit a tree on the edge of our property that the town subsequently took down. And then we had a car heading toward the school, exit the roadway, going toward the school on the same corner there. So also hitting a tree. You know, luckily nobody's been hurt in any of these, but I mean, people are standing on the side of this road all the time, doing yard work, getting the mail, just being kids riding their bikes around. It's dangerous, and we need some help. So that's what we're here
It's
tonight.
mostly an enforcement thing and the guardrail?
Well, I think enforcement would go a long way, and I have personally solicited help from the Red Hook Police Department on several occasions. Every time I meet, it's a small town, right? So you end up meeting these guys at Village Pizza or pumping gas or at the grocery store or, you know, whatever. They're in your neighborhood because somebody landed on your lawn after a traffic accident. So I've offered our property. I said, my driveway is your driveway. Anytime you guys want to sit here with the radar on, I'm appreciative. I've offered it to the sheriffs as well, and I have a very good friend who's a state trooper. And I said, please, anytime you want, you know, but he's going to have a much more fruitful night if he goes and sits on the Taconic or on Route 9 instead of sitting on Mill Road. So, you know, if his objective for the night is to, you know, get some speeding tickets out there and enforce some traffic laws, he's not going to do it on Mill Road. He's going to do it, the state troopers are going to be on the Taconic Parkway or Route 9.
Well, thanks, Bob. Yes, our concern is not raising revenue, it's just your safety near the road, on the road. This is a very common complaint that my office receives, and I'm very glad that you're here. As I mentioned to you just a few minutes ago, this information is new to me. We have been patrolling, we have a contract with Red Hook Police, we've increased the budgets. We're going to continue, I hope, to increase the budget to help retrain people to understand that they may be driving on our town roads and there may be police and that they may be pulled over and ticketed, because it's the #1 issue that comes into my office is safety and speeding, you know, related. So we'll take a look at your curve, the road, and, you know, I'll get some enforcement out there, okay? And we'll also see if, from an engineering standpoint, if we can have one of our engineers go out and see if it would be appropriate to have a guide rail, and if so, what type of guide rail would be appropriate in that.
Okay.
in that use.
So how will we be involved in that process at all? Will we
All
know?
you need to do is shoot me this letter
Yeah.
by email, and then I'll keep you posted on what's
Okay,
transpired.
and your email is available on the town website?
Sure is.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
Thank you very much, Bob. Any other comments?
You're at 549240, is that your parcel?
I have it down here, Bill. See where the cursor is?
Oh, that was.
Yeah.
That's the right before the curve or right after the curve, depending upon which direction.
That's where you live and that house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All
There's
right.
one house that's practically in the middle of the road, as far as that curve goes.
Yeah, and you know, he's always spared because he's on the inside of the curve.
Yeah.
And we actually heard, and I'm not, you said you know Tim Conway, maybe you can confirm this, but we heard that before we moved here, they actually had a car in their house. So, you know, it's been an issue for years, so
Yeah.
just, I think somebody needs to speak up about it.
Great.
Yeah, I'll give this back to you.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Yep.
We have the electronics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Okay, is there anybody else?
Sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
There's still an oil slick on the road from where the transformer hit. And it was treated the night of the accident by Con Edison. I'm sorry. My father-in-law worked for Con Edison for 35 years, and he talks about it a lot. So it's stuck in my head. It was Central Hudson. They were out there stamping on the kitty litter all night. And then the next day, the highway department came out and treated it again. Theirs was a little more effective. But now that the cars have been running over it, whatever substance they put on it, it looks like kitty litter. I'm sure it's a little more effective than that.
Okay.
That's worn away and the oil slick remains.
Okay.
So should it rain, it's going to be very, very dangerous.
Okay, very good. Can
We
you
think
take
that
us-
that's from Con Ed's transformer.
It absolutely is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Central Hudson, I'm all confused. So,
I
I
would like
think
to
that.
point out the CEO of Central Hudson is in the audience today, so I
No,
think he
I-
hopes that you get the
my-
name right. That's a positive thing.
My understanding is that they're responsible for taking care of that oil slick if it's from their piece of machinery. I could be wrong. We could go out and put Speedy Dry on it every day if we need to.
Okay.
But,
Well, now that it's come to my attention, I will bring it to the attention of Jeff Stone, who's done a wonderful job of being responsive to our needs here in the town of Red Hook. He's our local representative at Central Hudson.
They were awesome, by the way, they were
Yeah.
great. They had the pole back up within hours, and as soon as our service was restored, reinstalled in our house, they were right back out there.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
great.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Bob. Thank you, Carrie. Would anybody else like to make some public comments this evening? Okay, if not, then I suggest we get to our public hearing, which is a continuation of a public hearing on amending our zoning for solar energy systems. And Sue, would you be kind enough to read the announcement, please? Oh, caught you off guard. Okay.
Please take notice that a public hearing will be held by the town board of the town of Red Hook on November 29th at 7:35. It's continued at 7:35 local time at the town hall, 7340 South Broadway, Red Hook, New York, to hear all interested persons on a proposed local law D of 2017 entitled a local law to amend the zoning law regarding solar energy systems, to amend the town of Red Hook zoning law to permit small-sized solar energy systems as accessory uses, and by adding review and approval provisions for the permitting of medium and large solar energy systems as principal and accessory uses. Please take further notice that copies of said proposed local law are available for review at the Town Hall, 7340 South Broadway. All interested persons will be given an opportunity to be heard in person or by directing comments in writing to the Town Board, 7340 South Broadway, Red Hook, New York. All reasonable accommodations will be made for persons with disabilities. In such a case, please notify the town clerk in advance at the above address or by phone 845-758-4606 so that arrangements can be made. By order of the town board, Town of Red Hook, Sue McCann, Town Clerk, Town of Red Hook.
Very good. Thank you very much, Sue. Is there anybody who would like to comment at the continuation of the public hearing from the last meeting? Okay, very good. So I'm going to suggest we keep the public hearing open until later this evening when we get to agenda item number 5, and that relates to this topic. All right, very
Can we
good.
ask any questions about the
Did
new
you
law?
want to do that while we're on the agenda item right now? We're in the public.
I got a couple questions.
Okay, let's do that at agenda 5 then.
Okay.
During our discussion? All right, very good. So we're up to the first item on the agenda, which is the contract renewal for 2018 of the Water District Agreement for Professional Services. That's with VRI. We entered into an agreement with VRI Services. They do the management. There we are. The Water Board has recommended that we implement the clause to renew for an additional year from January 1 to 2018. You have a copy of what the agreement was and is going forward. Did you have any questions about that before we entertain the resolution? Okay, the Water Board has been very happy with them as the system operator for Water District number 1. right, so why don't we move this resolution? This is resolution number
79.
79 dated November 29th, 2017, authorizing the renewal of the agreement for professional services, water system operator, Water District Number 1 between the Town of Red Hook and VRI Environmental Services, whereas an agreement was entered back in January of 2016 with one-year renewal options, and it is determined to be in the best interest of the town and the Water District to renew that option upon recommendation by the Water Board, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We have a second item on the agenda this evening is a resolution to authorize disposal of surplus highway equipment. We are short equipment, but we are also disposing some of the older items that we have, and you have in your packet from our highway superintendent that we have 2 additional small items. One is a heel, did I pronounce that correctly? Heil? We don't know. 7-yard steel dump body. And the other is a Snapper 9.5 horsepower 24-inch snow blower. Is that a push snow blower we're talking about?
It's self-propelled.
Self-propelled snow blower, okay. And that the highway department has deemed this to be surplus equipment, and that it will be put online for auction. So if you are interested, please do go to the town website. There'll be a link there, information that you can get for those items if you would like to bid on them. Know that there is a commission. I think they add 10% or something like that to the item. Teresa, did you want to?
No.
Okay. All right. We have Town of Red Hook Resolution number 80. Are we ready to entertain it? Authorizing the sale of surplus items as I described. And I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we're on to item number 3, which is a resolution to approve the streetlight installation and maintenance RFP. As you know, for quite some time now in 2017, we've been working with the Mid-Hudson Streetlight Consortium to purchase and to convert our streetlights to LED. And we have had this draft RFP in your packets for the last several meetings. I haven't heard any comments about it. Chris Shaw, our attorney to the town, has worked for countless hours with the consortium on making sure every T is crossed and I is dotted on this. And we're very excited. We have something like 15 municipalities are joining us in this RFP. So, we have, if there are no questions, resolution number 81, dated November 29th, authorizing the Town of Red Hook to issue a request for proposals for municipal street lighting system, Mid-Hudson Streetlight Consortium project. Whereas the Town of Red Hook has determined that it's necessary in the best interest of the town to request proposals for initial maintenance and energy efficiency conversion and follow-up warranty and maintenance services for a municipal street lighting system. And whereas the consortium, in cooperation with the town, has prepared a proposed RFP on file with the town clerk, now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the Town of Red Hook that we authorize the issuance of an RFP for a municipal street lighting system in the form and file with the town clerk, and I so move resolution 81.
Second.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you, Chris, and thank you all the folks on the Energy Committee who've been working towards that. We have discussion and possibly resolution on the animal control service agreements, the housing agreement and the dog control. And Sarah, as the liaison, did you maybe want to say a few words about this?
So I would just say this is the contract hasn't changed. It's the same in all respects as it has been, and I think on the whole, we've been happy with the service. this is now we finished our first full year,
That's
right?
yeah.
And we had half a year last year. So I think we've had time to, reflect on the experience of going with the SPCA. There have been some concerns about response time. And I think that going forward, we are going to work closely with Red Hook Police to try to work on that issue, because often they're the ones that end up getting called in.
Okay.
If the owner of the dog, or the person having the issue with the dog, it's always the dog's, isn't getting a response. So that's something I think we'll continue to work with them on to make sure that they're, getting the response from this contract that we need. But overall, I think we've been happy with it, so I endorse going forward with it.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions or concerns they'd like to express before we entertain resolution number 82? Okay, it's approving a dog control housing agreement and animal control services between the town of Red Hook and Dutchess County SPCA. And Sarah, would you like to so move?
I would.
You did?
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We are making fast order of things. We do have our committee and board reports. We've got agenda item number 5. So here we are at the continuation of the public hearing for some discussion. And for the folks at home, you should know, as we announced at our previous meeting, we had a workshop last night. We did resolve, at least by majority opinion, to make some changes to the draft available for public comment, public hearing. We are going to amend the draft law to allow for accessory solar energy systems within the historic landmark overlay district, but they will be subject to both site plan and special use permit review, which is very stringent. We also agreed by majority to increase the minimum lot size on the medium solar energy systems from 2 acres to 3 acres. And we had some clarifying language that we hopefully have addressed in this draft that's in front of us. And so, Bill, did you have any questions for Ted?
My question has to do with small energy systems. It seems to me that we crossed out on page 4, we crossed out the sentence that says that they would be an accessory use. So I'm wondering why we did that, because the only other place in the law that I see where we refer to a small energy system as an accessory use is where it's ground mounted. So do we not need in the law a sentence that specifically states that a small energy system will be considered an accessory use?
Well, I thought we covered that last night, Bill, when we talked about the example of somebody buys 2 lots, one has a house on it.
I'm
the
just
other-
looking for words
Oh,
in the
in the
law
law.
that spell it out,
Okay.
if we have to, I don't know.
Well,
On
that
page
was-
3, under section C1,
Yeah,
it states small ground-mounted.
ground mounted. I'm
Ground
talking about a
mounted.
small energy system, the regular roof mounted system.
Roof-mounted?
Yeah. In other words, something other than a ground mounted, small system would be an accessory use. But don't we have to spell that
If
out?
it's attached to the roof?
Well, a small energy system
Yeah.
is ordinarily attached to the house, yeah.
Yeah. But I think if it's attached to the house, though, it would be part of the structure, part of the principal structure, so it would be integral to the primary.
So we don't have to spell it out as being an
I
accessory.
think so. I think if it's a ground-mounted system, or if it's a standalone system, a principal system on a lot without a principal use to it, okay. And so I think it's covered in C1.
Is that why we eliminated it under D1?
Well, I think it was to clarify that the small system, which had previously referred to it as only an accessory use, now refers to it as both a principal as well as an accessory use, because we did discuss last night the possibility that you could have on a small lot, a small system without having a house on that lot. And that's why
That's covered in C.
and I think, yeah, and that was taken out just so it would be clear.
Okay, so we don't need it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much, Ted. We really appreciate your making those changes so quickly and submitting them to us for review. Were there any other questions about changes in the draft as well as changes in the part one? And we have, part one was essentially just in the description of the proposed action. There was a slight change, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
It was the coastal assessment form as well. It was a description.
Right.
Of that document.
So
those
that's-
two documents. And what you have to do is the seeker environmental assessment form, the part 2, part 3, and the draft declaration. So those still need to have some changes made to them because of the changes in the historic landmarks overlay.
Right. So that's something we'll tackle at our next meeting, because
Yes.
what we now need to do is we now need to notice for December 12th at 7:35 this amended draft for review. This will be sent back to the planning board, both our local planning board and the county planning board, for their comments and their input. And we invite you to take a look at this draft on the town's website. It'll be available tomorrow. For you at home, that means it's already available. And we would welcome your comments again December 12th at 7:35, I believe is what our resolution looks like. And that would be resolution number 83 we are on. And that is establishing a date for a public hearing regarding the adoption by the town board of the town of Red Hook of an amended local law D proposed of 2017, whereas the proposed form of the local law was submitted on October 25th. An amended form has been submitted here on November 29th. And it constitutes a type 1 action for purposes of seeker, and a revised part 1 EAF and CAF are now available for your viewing at the town clerk's office. And that is resolution 83, December 12th, 7:35, a new public hearing on this amended law. And I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further questions or concerns? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Thank you very much. So we will see you then December 12th. We have item number 6, discussion, is the social media policy. Sarah and the Communications Committee and a terrific board intern have been working on a draft of the social media policy, and I apologize, I've just really had time the last few days to take a look at it and some other examples. And I did speak with Sarah yesterday, today, I can't even remember. I had just a few suggestions, and I can formulate those in writing and get them to you before the end of the week, but just more clarification language and something that would make it clear that the town could remove comments from social media sites whenever it's deemed that it's not in the best interest of the town, so that we wouldn't get into this debate of whether it's offensive or not offensive, but just to understand that we're trying to use this as an information tool, much like we're using these tools in order to communicate, not necessarily to debate with people or to characterize their comments, but just to know that we do have a fiduciary with regard to that.
Yeah, so I can look at your comments when you send them,
Yeah.
but just so that you can think about this on, if you look at the November 9th copy, which is
Okay.
in your packets tonight,
Yeah.
that revised draft, on page 3, under the comments section, number 1, it says, comments and posts containing any of the following inappropriate forms of content shall not be permitted on Town of Red Hook social media accounts and are subject to removal by the administrator or their designees. And then it goes through A through K of all manner of inappropriate content.
Right.
And so that was taken from a different town's policy, and I think we sort of smoothed it out a little bit for our purposes, but, you know, maybe look at that and see. I think we may have made that language a little more clear since the draft you may have been
Right.
looking at, but if you feel that that's not clear enough, then we can, you know, make it even more clear that we're just, you know, yeah, we're gonna take anything out that we don't think is appropriate.
I think we have to. I think we, you know, we've seen these social websites work really well and help inform our residents and provide a dialogue. We've also seen them sort of spiral into something that's less than productive. And unfortunately, if we're debating on what should or shouldn't be considered inappropriate, we could be spending a great deal of time and energy. There were some other comments about just the departments, you know, well, it would be good to have which departments we think are going to have social media, but we don't have to decide that now, but just know that whatever comes out of that department should relate to that department, and the
Also-
comments should.
Yeah, and so that's an interesting point actually, because we wrote this with the thought that that we wouldn't pursue having various departments have their own pages, at least for right now, that we would try having a Town of
Just
Red
one.
Hook page.
Okay.
Mainly because what you find with social media is that a lot of entities have trouble keeping it populated, right? And that's gonna add time to somebody, a volunteer or a staff person. And so the thought was that we could probably come up with a way, for example, to have the highway department clerk, if there's something the highway department specifically wanted to have, they'd send that to the administrator. If the town clerk had a thing, you know, all the different departments could send it to the Town of Red Hook
Right.
page, or maybe all those people, and, you know, we can debate the merits of whether those people should have access to that page and should just, you know, be able to schedule things, but that was our thought, so that there's like no confusion about
Right.
which page is gonna
Who should
put
it?
what, you know, for example, the snow removal policy. Yeah, Teresa, did you want to say
Well,
something?
it's
Yeah.
common in a lot of towns that the highway department does have their own
Yeah.
Facebook page, and that was something that I had asked Robert
Yeah.
if it would be possible, because then we would be able to get the information out quicker, especially in times of emergency or road closures or, you know, just things like that. We would like to have the capability of managing that information on our own.
Okay.
So if you're going to make a blanket policy, we would like to have an exception for the highway department,
Yeah.
because we feel that we would be able to manage our own Facebook page better than submitting it to an administrator and then having to wait until the information goes out.
I mean,
You
what
know,
about-
totally in line with the guidelines that the
Yeah,
town
sure.
puts out.
I mean, just to play devil's advocate, what about if your highway clerk was an administrator on the page? Because you know how, maybe you know how Facebook works, we can add as many administrators as we want to a page. Obviously, we don't want to have too many, because that'll be crazy making, but if we had 1 or 2 or 3 administrators that sort of work closely together, so, I mean, your clerk isn't going to be posting willy-nilly all manner of things, she'll have a specific
Right.
type of thing that she's posting.
I think it'll just be more clear if you're
Yeah.
going to the highway department Facebook page and
Okay.
finding out information about the highway department and things that the highway department could use to educate the public to our operations. And that's what we're looking for, to use it as an educational tool and as a safety tool. Same as the police department in the village has their own Facebook page, because they use it for that, or,
Sure.
you know,
But they
emergency
don't actually post that
management.
often. I mean, so just again to
No,
like,
no.
you know, and
I
so.
understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but we're.
I mean, as a user, I would just say, like, as a user, I would look more for like general Town of Red Hook things from one page that I would be avid to follow, because I know every day it's going to have information that's useful to me. And I'm just saying that, let's just think about it, because I
Sure.
think there's pros and cons both ways.
Yeah.
But that if we have one page that's sending this sort of unified message of like, this is where you go for everything you're concerned about town related, that it just may be easier for users who, rather than getting this Town of Red Hook page into their feed and then another one and another one, you know, like I could see the rec department wanting their own page, you know, there may be sense to having one unified
Yeah.
one, but there may be sense to having two, you know.
We have to dovetail this with what's happening with our website, because people are going to be able to sign up with our new website design coming in approximately 6 months, where you will be able to check off boxes on subjects you're interested in, not only emergencies, but recreation. So you know if your kid's class or whatever is going to be canceled, and you will get notifications. So we really want to figure out how this will work in context with the other media that we'll be deploying right around the same time. So
So highway department would be obviously one of those departments that you could get updates from through the website,
Yeah.
which would be either text or email.
yeah,
I think we should just keep talking about it. Maybe you and I can go over the policy, and maybe even with your clerk sit down and like just think about like what are the types of things you'd want out there, because I'd love to see a Town of Red Hook page that was posting twice a day. I'd rather see one entity that was doing multiple posts a day rather than a couple different entities. Just the way that Facebook works will get into people's feeds, you know, in a like a higher way than if we have multiple entities trying to send, you know. And I'm not worried about if your department had one that we aren't controlling the message. I'm not worried about that at all. I trust all the clerks here to be, you know, to look at this policy and then understand what to do. I'm just more thinking about like how can we make sure that all the users out there in the internet world are getting our information, you know, quickly, efficiently, all that. So let's just think about it.
Okay.
But I appreciate that feedback, and let's think about that. Yeah, Charlotte, so Charlotte is our intern from BART. Do you want to say something about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for posts, by having like one central page, you can also like boost a post and notify people who like the page or subscribe to the account, so they can get a notification when something is posted that's important or an emergency. So having like one central page might be easier for users than having like multiple pages to keep getting updated on. Yeah.
very good. Okay, well, thank you all for your work, and we'll continue to, as we approach the new media for the Town of Red Hook, try and nail it down. Okay, so that concludes our 6 items for discussion. We have some board reports, and we could go through those fairly quickly, I believe. We have a planning board report. Jim is not here to report it. Would somebody else like to report it this evening? Bill? Can I nominate you?
Yeah, I'll do whatever you want me to do.
Well, you got that. You get that in writing?
Anyway, the planning board reviewed a number of projects, an application to redevelop an existing auto parts center, which is across the road off Route 9, Rugies Automotive Parts Center, and that's continuing. An application to create 3 parcels in the R1 zoning district, an application to construct and operate another farm market with an associated tent structure, to house a beer garden. So that would be something that's would be entertained in the Ag Business District, and that's under review by the planning board. They're also reviewing an application from Bard College in the institutional zoning district for a small cell antenna and related equipment on a roof there at Bard, and an application to construct a ATV footbridge over a tributary of the Saltkill on a 60-acre parcel in the ABD, Ag Business District. And they held a public hearing, and the board responded to a referral on local law D, which they approved. That's the solar energy law we just talked about. And that was it for the planning board.
Good. Thank you very much, Bill. While we're on the discussion of planning board, just if we have a minute, and we're talking about media and again, working as diligently as we can to try and bring local government to you. I wonder whether there would be interest on the part of this town board of televising our planning board meetings. If that is something, I know that neighbors, community members are very interested in projects that are contemplated for our community, and whether or not we might deem it worthwhile to have Panda come and televise those two meetings. So I throw it out there. You don't have to give me a reaction right away. I just thought maybe food for thought. We could talk about it at the next meeting if you'd like.
I would encourage that.
Okay.
I mean, they do it in Rhinebeck, and I think it serves a real purpose
Okay.
and a real need.
Okay.
I'm all for it as well. I would just say two things. One is that no one's gonna be able to hear what they say unless we mic it.
Yeah.
And so I'm not for putting it on Panda if nobody's gonna be able to hear it.
Alright.
And it also means we're really gonna need to work with the planning board on using our screen, because again, that's gonna be pretty boring to watch because you're not gonna be able to see any of the maps and things that they talk about. That's something that residents have given me feedback about. I don't know if you all ever hear that. That if you're sitting in the audience of the planning board, unless somebody's giving a public hearing presentation, there's no way to follow along with what the board is talking about.
Well, they're supposed to be using the screen, are they not using it?
I
I know
don't
they
believe
had
they-
trouble one meeting.
Yeah, I don't believe they are using it, but that's just the feedback I've heard. I haven't been to a
Okay.
meeting in a little while.
Okay.
So we just might wanna address those two things.
Check
If
with
they're
us.
gonna be on Panda, I think that's a great idea, but I just wanna work on some of those issues, which really would help audience members anyway, you know,
Yeah.
regardless of Panda. They
Right.
have just a little bit of miking, just what we have now. We could put all of these mics on the table if they didn't wanna change their format, and that would probably pick up quite a bit, but
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Sir, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I want to make another note. I think it's important to Panda, people watching on TV, and what we're talking about, the solar energy public hearing coming up. But one of the things that the planning board did, I don't know if I emphasized it, was that they granted approval to a project that involved a ground-mounted photovoltaic solar system just west of 9G. So I think a caution is that in the town of Red Hook, we have no regulation, no law regarding solar energy systems. And while we speak and while we talk about it, you know, things are going forward. And it's probably timely that we take action to do something about regulation of solar in the town of Red Hook.
Thank you very much, Phil. Sarah, we have two Red Hook monthly dog control reports, one for September and one for October.
Okay, so in September, there were 2 dangerous dog-related incidents, 5 loose dog-related incidents, 1 wildlife or cat incident, bringing our total to 56 for the year. They responded to a corgi that was lost on Bard College campus, a small bird that was trapped in the dining hall at Bard, and a loose dog around Woods Road. So that kept them busy. In October, there were 4 dangerous dog and related incidents, 4 loose dog and related incidents, 3 nuisance dog calls, bringing our yearly total to 67 calls for the year at the end of October. They also responded to a call about a barking dog, and another man and his dog were bitten on the trails of Tivoli Bays by a loose dog. And then there was another loose dog running around Starbreak Road. So we're getting to the season where these calls usually drop off just because of the weather, but just a reminder for everyone to please keep your dogs contained on your property. And anybody who does have an issue, know that you can call the SPCA. There's numbers in their menu when you call, or you can go to our website and find that information, but that's where you go to get those addressed.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Jim is not here tonight, so I think I'll quickly report on building and zoning for the monthly report of November. Permits, 27 permits were issued, 23 inspections were conducted. Certificate of occupancy, 26 of them. There were events or complaints, 39 of them during the course of the month. And there's a tally of the fees associated, and there is a list, we get a list of all the projects that were done, and that is in front of you. Okay. So we have Harry, there's a purchase order report. Would you be kind enough to do that?
If I can find it.
Okay, you're welcome to have mine.
Here it is.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah, as usual, purchasing is rather busy. There were 40 purchase orders for the month of spanning October, November, totaling $57,000 and change. We made a purchase of almost $10,500 worth of ice control sand, getting ready for winter. And we had a public price this year is $8 a ton. Is that cheap or expensive, Madam Highway Supervisor?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Huh? $8 a ton for ice control?
For
For the
sand.
sand?
For sand? Does it say?
That's an excellent price.
Yeah, great, okay. And we've been working on the tennis court, which is finished for the season. It is not, the project isn't finished, but as much as can be done this year before winter has been completed. The fence is being put around it today as we speak. Sampson and Weston is looking at the new rec park and working on a proposal for design there. And we have a contractor to keep the sidewalks clean on Broadway of the snow.
Very good, thank you very much, Harry. And since you mentioned the tennis courts, we'll let you know that today we found out we received our state municipality grant, our SAM grant that we referred to. You know, we modified it to go all to the tennis courts, the $50,000, so we're getting that. I wanted to let you know. So, we have, Bill, we've got an assessor's report and a police department report.
Well, the assessor's office for the month of November has been preparing for the upcoming exemption process. They've been receiving calls regarding all exemption questions. The deputy assessor will be mailing the enhanced and IVP eligibility letters out on December 1st. The state enters a list on the Office of Real Property, ORP's website, with the residents that may not be eligible for the enhanced STAR exemption. So these residents might have an increase in income or possibly be eligible for the senior aged exemption. It's up to the assessor's office to determine that eligibility, and they're of course available to do that. For the month of October, there were a total of 21 sales in the town of Red Hook that were analyzed. Just for information, the highest sale price was $571,000 for single-family residence in Red Hook, and the lowest sale price was for vacant farmland in the town, $140,000. The assessor's been attending the continuing ed classes at Columbia Green Community College, and otherwise has a very favorable report for this period.
Thank you very
The
much.
police department, is that what you said there?
Yep, thank you.
The Red Hook Village Police Department reported a total of 95 incidents for this past reporting period. They had a total of 7 arrests, and they issued 52 tickets in the last month.
Okay. Very good, thank you very much, Bill. Harry, would you mind reading the Water District report, since Jim is not with us tonight?
Yeah. Okay, here it is. Actually, there was a water board meeting today when we came in. This is for the month of October. Coliform, none detected. Turbidity was well below objective. Chlorine was minimal. The levels of water in the wells are running true to form. And all water tests were within normal range. All the filters are working properly. There are 26 outstanding work orders, and I'm not sure. No, there's a few odds and ends of problems with equipment. That's normal with any equipment. And everything has essentially been working within criteria and standards.
Okay. Thank you very much, Harry. And we'll be getting Hank and our engineers together to look over grant opportunities. As you know, the water tower may or may not need some attention in the next several years, and we want to take advantage of the funding that's out there now and see what's possible. So perhaps we'll have something coming up in early 2018 on that topic. All right, Bill, we've got your intermunicipal task force.
Well, the task force, the monthly meetings in October and November just continued to discuss the solar energy law, the subject of some of tonight's discussion, and also to review proposed local law that has to do with food trucks and formula businesses and rezoning the B1 district in the in the hamlet of Upper Red Hook. And those discussions continue.
Okay, thank you very much, Harry. As always, I beg you to summarize the Rec Commission report because it is so comprehensive.
Well, we're essentially wrapping up the season and preparing for the winter in anticipation of having things ready for next year. Some of the equipment we use had work done on it. The tennis courts, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, are almost finished. They're finished for the fall, and the final coating will be put on them in the spring, and they'll be ready to go. And there's one of the ball fields is probably somewhere, I guess, 80 or 90% complete. And it's the middle field, and well, it says right here, 80% complete. So and that will be ready and as a new field next year, next spring, and all fields then have been recently reworked and should be in great shape for next year.
Very good, and I know that there's already discussion about the summer rec program and any potential changes to that, and looking to see if we'll have the same rec director for the summer program, so stay tuned if there's some items to report there. Wow, it's just a lengthy report. John does such a great job. All right, St. Margaret's. Bill, would you be kind enough to, that's a long one.
Well, I don't know why it's long. It's really,
Starts last March.
there's really nothing much to say, except they've been
It's an
taking
annual
care of the
report.
property and, of the annual report.
Yeah.
I can summarize it if you want.
Go ahead, yeah. I
Okay.
hadn't really
So,
looked at it as an annual report.
most of the pages are just documenting all the many hours that are spent and the things that the rec commission, landscape crew, all the hours that they put into maintaining the property all year. And John explains that one of the reasons he's documenting it, besides that he just has to document the hours, is that in the future, depending on what we want to do with that property, we may want to contract out for that work, or if it's not a property that really fits into the rec commission mission, if it's used for something else, we'll want to know how much time does it take, what kind of equipment, all that. So that's why so much of the report is taken up with that. But it's true that that's mostly all that's happening right now is just maintenance, and then that includes things like picking up garbage that gets left there. That's quite extensive. And maintaining all the trees. There was no vandalism this year, so that's good. And they just talk about how they also, as they maintain, they try to keep it in a shape that it could be used to make the passive park that was suggested or recommended by the Saratoga Associates Recreational Needs Assessment that was done in 1994. So obviously that's a pretty aged report, but that's sort of what their view is as they maintain it. That if we wanted to make it into a passive park, it's kind of ready to do that whenever we would want to move on that.
Very good, and to let you know that I've been approached by another artist group that potentially may be interested in using St. Margaret's for the summertime, so if I have anything to report at the next meeting about that, I will let you know. Is that all we have for committees and boards? Is that, was there more highway to discuss? No? Okay. Very good. So we are through our regular agenda, just a couple more announcements, good announcements. First of all, tomorrow we will have closing on the Potts Stickle Farm. If you're not familiar with that property, that's the property that wraps around the Red Church Cemetery on Route 9G, just north of the Tivoli entrance there. And we're very excited about that property. It's been in the same farm family since the mid-1800s. And we thank all the folks in Red Hook who supported the Community Preservation Fund, because that's the match that's going to be given by the town. We're receiving most of the funding from New York State and from our partner Scenic Hudson. And so congratulations to the Stickle family and the Potts family for preserving it this long so that we have the opportunity to place an easement on it. Yep. Okay, very good. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to go into attorney-client, hearing no public comments. Is that right? Okay.
I just have one question.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's actually for Chris. Should Robert sign this new part one?
Yes, the
Okay.
resolution, I'll
Yes.
write that, please, thank
Yes.
you.
Yep.
Put that on
I just
file,
wanna make
thank
sure.
you.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Very good. And that was a motion to go into attorney-client.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for joining us.